It's Cage Side. We are back. Great episode today. We have Chris Daukaus on the show. Philly guy, UFC heavyweight, family man, brother Kyle's also in the UFC, all around badass. And we finally got him on the show. I've been trying for a bit, and it just never hasn't worked out. But he's here, and we break down the fights. We talk about his past. We talk about how he got into this whole thing. He has a big fight coming up with Olenek. Listen, this is a pretty solid episode. I'm pumped to share it with you guys. And McGregor versus Poirier this weekend. I'm excited for the fights. Co-main event, Dan Hooker versus Chandler. I think that could even steal the show. We'll find out. After the Max Holloway fight, who knows who can even, stack up against that. But I'm hoping for the best. Listen, if you're into fighting, this is one of the bigger fight weeks of the year. And I'm pumped for it. So before we talk more about that, here is Chris Daukaus. So what's going on, man? When do you work tonight?
Yeah, I gotta be in tonight. I'm actually surprised I don't have anything to do with the inauguration. With everything going on downtown. So I don't even know if there's anything really going on downtown. So it's actually good.
Well, it's funny because I know we've tried to do this a bunch of times, and by the way, sorry to be so persistent. I'm like, these guys are gonna think I'm like trying to stalk them or something.
It's totally fine because that's the only way that it's gonna work is if
yeah,
any free time that I get, I'm down with it.
Listen, if there's one thing I've learned doing this show is that like not only are fighters busy, but they are so committed that like whatever little time you have, you're either dedicating back to putting it back to the fighting or the family or whatever. So I respect the time and I appreciate it, man.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So thanks for coming on the show. We are happy to have you here. And one thing I'm trying to do with the show is to have obviously everything about fighting, but also local fighters and being able to tell their story. So I think it's important, and we have some of the best coming out of the city. So I think it's great for people to be able to hear that. You specifically have a great story, in my opinion, because you're currently an active, is it police officer? Or okay, and in what part of Philly?
I'm in the 25th district, so North Philly, like Kensington, they call it the Badlands.
Kensington area, okay.
Kensington and Allegheny, K&A, all the
you're
great parts of the city.
You're in the right spot, man. Of all parts. It's funny. I moved here in '92 with my family, and that was so my dad owns a eye care company off of an Episcopal hospital off of Lehigh.
Okay.
So ever since we moved here, that's been the area we've seen, which obviously it's gotten better, a lot better.
Yeah.
And actually, my brother-in-law, who's a retired police officer from Philly, that's the area that he patrolled forever. Kind of big ties to that area. So how long have you been an officer?
July of this year will be 10 years.
Wow.
So it's kind of been a wild ride. I mean, I've said this before, but I took my first amateur fight a week before I started the police academy. So it wasn't even a week. I took a fight on a Friday and I started the police academy on.
Wow. So you've been doing that kind of split life since the beginning.
Yeah, since the beginning. Yeah, I was training like a year and a half before I actually got the fight. That's just something that my head coach Wil Martinez, thought about. He goes, if people want to start fighting that are coming into the gym to prove that they're actually dedicated and they actually want to do this, we're gonna make people train for the gym. For at least a year, just to make sure that you're super dedicated to it. We don't want people coming in, 2-3 months saying, I want to fight. We'll give them a fight, and then they roll out.
Okay.
I did that, and then it was kind of weird just taking the fight, and then some people were upset with me about taking the fight so close to getting into.
Right.
They want me getting hurt, obviously, messing my career up, but it's worked out. It's worked out pretty good.
So Is the police thing, is it a family thing? Like, is there other people in your family who have been? Yeah.
Yeah, my dad's, he's been a police officer now coming up on, I think, 30 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same area or?
Same area. Yeah, he's a sergeant. He started out in the same district, went next door to the 24th, which is more of like Port Richmond area. Mm-hmm. And then from there, he ended up going to the SWAT unit. So he was in SWAT for like 16 years, 17 years, ended up getting promoted, became sergeant, and now he went back to being a.
So did he know Jimmy O'Connor by any chance?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I actually knew Jimmy was a really good friend.
So
I got a bunch of stuff from them. I'm going to be trying to get over to Dana so that coming February, hopefully Dana can rock a couple of t-shirts for us, show us some support.
Yeah. So I know Jimmy because my brother-in-law, who I said was a police officer, that they were like best friends, forever. And we would go to the Jimmy's Pocono house every year, like a family, little trip or whatever. And then I met him one time. He took us over to the I guess the SWAT training range or whatever one time. So he taught me like in the beginning, like how to properly shoot and all this stuff. He was a great guy, man. That was a horrible situation. Yeah,
it was.
So you obviously started training right at the same time as getting into the police force. So how have you developed as a fighter? Obviously now you're in the UFC, so you're where I'm sure you wanted to be in the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. The UFC and getting to that belt is and was the main goal. I accomplished one of the goals or part of it, getting to the UFC. So, it's just been good. I mean, February 20th, I take on a top 10 guy when I first signed it, and then I think he just dropped a little bit in the rankings. He's like 12.
Is Olenek?
Oh, yeah. Alexei Olenek. So it'll be good to get in there and test my skills against the top people in the world, and that's what I've been looking to do, and looking to prove to people that I've actually been, one of the top heavyweights in the world for a long time.
I've noticed that. Well, first of all, I think it's super interesting that you and your brother are both in the UFC. Did you guys get in around the same time, right?
Yeah. So he got in. He got the call. I think his fight was in. It was in the beginning of the year. I want to say the first 6 months of the year, probably June or July, and then I got the call for August because I was going to be fighting Sean Teed for the CFFC belt. And then they called me on short notice to fight Parker Porter 252. So obviously I was looking to fight. Well, that fight was supposed to be on Wednesday with everything going on with COVID and all the restrictions, and then it was just bumping the fight dates, a couple of days, switched it up to Saturday, and then here I am.
Dude, it's pretty cool. Like not only have you guys looked really great in the UFC, which is awesome. I've seen your names mentioned often. As I think in the Max Holloway fight or maybe the one before, I don't know when it was, but they put you, I guess, as like forget what the exact title was that they put, but maybe it's like the newer guys that just got in the UFC that are like killing it or whatever.
Yeah, I seen the
it was like a bracket thing that they had in there.
Yeah, it was like the top newcomers, 20.
Yeah.
Top fighters with 2 knockouts or whatever in 2020. So it's cool to be mentioned with all those names, and I'm just looking to build off that and just.
Dude, we're proud of you, man. We're excited. We're excited to have you up there and keep them getting excited to see you fight. So what's now that you're fighting somebody, I don't want to, no disrespect to the previous guy, but like somebody with a name who a lot of people know, is training a little different or has anything changed?
No, not really. I still have, I'm still doing classes at the gym. I mean, if you drop in to do a, jiu-jitsu class, you'll see me and my brother will roll with it. It doesn't matter to us. We're not like that. Like, like some boxer. You
don't have to close down the gym just for you guys.
Yeah, we're definitely not like that. So like if the gym's open, we're more than likely going to be there. But yeah, I mean, training has been the same. I mean, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And that's just what our mentality is. So we've just been, killing it in the gym. And, hopefully we can prove that the gym is definitely one of the top gyms in the world, even though we're not like a big name gym, like ATT or AKA, whatever. We still produce some of the best fighters in the world.
Yeah, for everybody who doesn't know, you're Martinez BJJ. We're talking a small, typical Philly gym, off of like a strip area. And you walk in there and you're like, okay, just another gym. But no, you would never know that, the level at which you guys are coming out of there, which is really cool.
Yeah,
really cool.
And that's what a lot of people don't realize is that if you're not looking for the gym, you're not going to find it.
Yeah.
Like it's along like you were saying, it's along storefronts. It's and you wouldn't think that. I don't want to people in the UFC like train out of that gym. Like the top guys, like, train out of that gym. So
which, cool motivation for anybody starting out or wanting to get into fighting. It's like you can just go around the corner to your local gym, and as long as they have, like, I've noticed, I've interviewed a bunch of people, like CAGESIDE, all these people who train out of there. So it keeps on coming up that the level at which you guys train and the commitment to taking everything serious. Some gyms you can kind of drop in and drop out, but it's more of the, I guess, the culture or how it's run. We don't
do that. So it's kind of like it's led by Will, obviously, and his brother Jesus Child. But then it comes down to like the other fighters. Like we don't play any games. This isn't a hobby thing. This is it. And if you're in it, we're in it with you 1,000%. Yeah. But we don't want people coming in like maybe I'll swing by the gym, see what's up. Maybe I'll do this. It's nah.
Which is good because you're helping them get out of something that's going to end up hurting them. You got to take it. You can't. I think it was in the Mike Tyson last fight or whatever. They were like, you can't play fighting. Yeah, don't. It's not a hobby. Just.
It's not. It really isn't. Like people think like they see me and I'm like, I have a career with being in law enforcement, and then I do this and people are like, oh, that's just like your hobby. Now, like, I have 2 careers. Like ask my wife. Like,
you're 100% committed to both.
At it all the time. Yeah, we go at it all the time because like when I'm not at work being a police officer, I'm at work at the gym, and I'm always doing stuff there. So, and like I said, like the type of people that we want in the gym and the type of people that we want on the team, like there's no real process to get on our team. Like if you show up, you're committed, and you have a drive that's similar to ours, you're on the team. Like,
and I know you're in the same weight class and everything, not to compare you, but somebody like a Stipe who has proven to be a good dude who has a career as a firefighter, and I don't know the details, so I don't know how much he's actually out there, or to what level he's committed to the department, but he has proven that he can do both in an honest and in a well done way when you're not either are suffering, there.
Yeah, and I think that's a very admirable thing that he's done, and it shows you that you can do both, and it's a fine line that you have to be able to go back and forth with, because you have certain obligations to both, and it's hard, but if it's truly something that you want to do, you can make it work.
A perfect example. Take it. People can take it for how they want to take it, but. Some people can't manage to get their career in order, and let's say in fighting, because they're too busy doing other things, whether it might be, cooking or working at a store or whatever. But you guys are literally protecting lives and putting lives, they're both very high risk, and you're able to balance it. So, it's just, I think, a mental thing, right? A headset.
Absolutely. And that's what I found recently, just even with my own career, is like it's all mentality. Yeah. Like that's, as long as you have the right mindset, you can accomplish anything. Like, I'm just some kid from Philadelphia who should have been, I went to high school. I went to college for a little bit. I didn't graduate college. I took the police test because I didn't know what I was doing in my life. I didn't have anything to do. College was, I didn't want to get stuck paying all that money. Right. And then, they called, like, I literally didn't hear anything from the police academy for a whole year. So, like, January 1st, I applied. Didn't hear absolutely anything for a whole year, and then they were like, "Yo, what's up?" So, it's literally, if you want to do something, you have to be able to go out and do it, and it's just the mentality that you're going to do it. Right. Like, me and my brother, we decided that, this is something that we want to do. I started a family; he didn't start a family, so I needed a way to provide for my family, and that was the police force. But I still was grinding with him in the gym to make this a reality, and that's just what it is.
So going back to what's the year difference between you guys?
3 years.
So who was growing up? You guys used to fight a ton, I'm assuming.
All the time.
Who get the upper hand?
I would, just because I was bigger. I was like the bigger kid. Okay. So like I was never really a small kid. Yeah. Like I think in like 8th grade I was like 200 and some pounds, like 215 pounds. I was never really like a small kid. Yeah. So he was always the smaller one. But we would go back and forth, and he'd like speak me every once in a while.
Yeah. I have two. I ask you because I have two boys, Gavin, who's turning 11, and Weston, who just turned 7. So they're right there. It's every single day it's a fight, and all day long it's a fight, and
Yep.
it's physical every day. But you got to let them.
Yeah, and my mom raised me and my brother, so she was used to that. We were fist fighting in the living room. She'd be getting in between us, so it's.
I love it. So your family's close. That's
Absolutely.
Great, man. They fully support the careers, and they're there watching the fights and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone's always supporting, shooting messages whenever we see them.
Love it.
So I really couldn't ask for a better support system, especially with my wife and her part of the family.
Another big thing you need, when you're trying to balance 2 careers or even just one, to you need that support. So that's cool. So this weekend, big fight. Anytime McGregor comes around, it seems to be the big show for the year. I'd love to hear your thoughts on. I mean, if there's any other fights that you're into, let me know. But otherwise, if you want to break down the McGregor fight a little bit, that'd be awesome.
Well, I'll do the 2. I'll do the co-main, which is Hooker and Chandler, and then we'll do the Poirier Conor. So I guess we'll start with the co-main. The co-main, very interesting. Chandler, he appears to be smaller for 155. Super strong wrestling base. He's got the power to put people to sleep. Hooker has been in 2 recent 5-round wars, fight of the year contenders this past 2020. The only reason why I bring that up is octagon experience time. So he's going to have close to, I think he's got almost an hour in the past year. But he's also been in the wars. So you don't know how his body is. You don't know how his chin is. Not this calling anything about his chin, but you can't take 500 punches, over 25 minutes and expect to be the same person that you were, especially if you do that multiple times in a year. It's just you're physically not going to be the same person. If Chandler lands, I don't know if he's going to be able to put Hooker to sleep, because I think Hooker's been hit harder by certain people. Chandler's going to have a tough time, I think, getting in on the range of Hooker. I don't think he's fought anyone quite as long or, with the high level of takedown defense that Hooker has. I mean, I couldn't tell you the last time I seen anyone take Hooker down or keep him down.
Yep.
So it's definitely going to be interesting. But on the other side of that argument, I don't know if Hooker has fought anyone of the wrestling background that Michael Chandler has.
Right.
So that's something to look out for.
It's a unique fight for them to have given Chandler to come in to the UFC.
Yeah, and I've seen interviews with Chandler, and he said that was the toughest, really the toughest matchup that he could have got. And realistically, you're a champ in another organization.
Yeah,
it shouldn't matter.
But it's great because if he does get through Hooker, in a solid way, it's just that he gets put in on the top immediately. A lot of people don't like somebody transitioning in, and the comments are always like, well, I'm not going to let this guy just come in here. Okay, that's fair. So let's put him against a Hooker who is a perfect gateway into the best of the best. So if he can get through him, all right, fine, fair. You're in. And if you can't, then we know where he's at.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Like if I was a champ in Bellator, I would obviously want an immediate title shot just because champ for champ. But that's not how things work. So I would absolutely take a top 3 guy, a top 4 guy, just to prove that I'm above these people. I need to fight the champ. Right. So if that's what he's doing, that's what he's doing, and more power to him.
Yeah. And then McGregor versus Poirier.
I don't know because you don't know the type of mindset that McGregor's in.
Yeah, which seems good. Seems as good as can be.
He seems very good. Is he back to his old ways? And then he just got hit with. I just seen headlines. He just got hit with a multi-million-dollar.
Yesterday, right?
Within the past 2 to 3 days or something like that. So you don't know if that's going to be playing with his mind, that he's dealing with that while he's trying to fight. But he seems to be the type of guy to be able to to deal with all that.
Seems like there's always a lawsuit right before he fights anyway.
There's always.
He's gotten to the level where he's like a company, and companies get sued all the time, and you don't even hear about it a lot, and it's just
Exactly. Yeah. There's especially if you're that high.
People want money, man. They look for it in whatever way they can. Yeah. So.
Right. So. Yeah. I don't think he's making the prediction that he's going to sleep him within 60 seconds. I don't think he's going to do that. Poirier has been, he's significantly improved since their first outing. Yeah. I think he's a way better fighter. I don't know. I mean, Conor's got that one punch knockout power. I don't think Poirier doesn't have that. He's got the volume, the pressure that always pushing. That's what I think breaks. That's what breaks a lot of people. But no one's really been able to pressure Conor like that except for maybe Nate. But
I think where Poirier has a little bit of an advantage too is that he's been in there with him, right? So there's not. I mean, it's like Mayweather, right? A lot of people get in there, and it's very different until the moment that you're in there. Once you're in there, your game plan kind of goes out the window, and you're whether it's nerves or what it is. Poirier shouldn't have that. Granted, they were very different, but he's been in there with him in a way where he hated him at that point. So he already all that's gone. So he should be at a relaxed state and perform as good as he can against McGregor.
Now, like you were saying, in the relaxed state. Now, there's not as much quote unquote shit talking between them as there was in the first one, and Conor did do what he had to do, and Dustin has come out and said in multiple interviews like that wasn't me. I wanted to come out and I wanted to hurt him. That's you can't do that. I mean, yeah, we're fighting. People are fighting. I want to cause damage to get you out of that.
Right.
To get you out of that. You can't go in super emotional because then it's no good. Right. You just really do that.
I'm eager, listen, I'm eager to see a very competitive fight, more so than somebody getting, than going to sleep early. It'll prove as good for Dustin, but it'll also prove good for McGregor, who's been out for a year basically, and it sets him up for some back-to-back fights hopefully this year. If it goes to distance, I'm okay with that, man. If it's a good,
hey, I'm totally fine with it. I'm right with you. Like if I don't want, like you said, I don't want 10-second knockout. I'd rather have them go back and forth, be a competitive matchup to prove that Dustin really is on that level, and McGregor is obviously at that level. Like you said, he's been out a year, and the last person he fought was Cowboy.
I love Cowboy.
I love Cowboy. No knock on Cowboy,
but it's Cowboy.
But it's Cowboy, and everyone.
Yeah, and he doesn't show up sometimes. So.
Everyone knows it. Yeah, and he's the type of fighter who sometimes the pressure gets to him, sometimes it doesn't. It all depends on what kind of mentality he's coming in with. So, that was a good fight to have him come back from boxing, but Poirier is on a different level.
Yeah, I just need it to be a 5-rounder so I can avoid arguments at home because. My wife has this thing with McGregor that she doesn't like him because it's like, it's like Mayweather or Canelo at this point. We're like, they're not going to lose. Even if they lose, they don't lose. And I hate that because I want to believe that it's always competitive and that it's always, not just meant to be for McGregor to make it, for them to make it easy on him or whatever. So, listen, Max Holloway and Kattar set a level for these 3 fights in Abu Dhabi that I don't think anybody's going to match it, honestly. Dude, that was an insane performance.
That was, yeah. I mean, all due respect,
I like Kattar. I thought Kattar was going to show up. And I think he did because.
I thought he was going to be. I don't know if he was just having an off night or if Max really. Well, obviously Max is really that good. Yeah. But if he's that much better than the rest of the field, right. I don't know, because what he did. I don't know. I've never seen anything like that. I've been watching fights for all my life. I've never seen anything like that. So that'll go down. No one will top that performance.
He started the year off in a ridiculous. I mean, we actually watched it twice because it was. I mean, it was unbelievable what he could. First of all, the guy with the shortest reach just wouldn't let Kattar come in at all, and Kattar was pushing the action a lot of. He was trying to at least, and but also it proved. it was good for Kattar because Kattar looked fantastic in his grit and his ability to withstand a beating for every single second of the round, every round. It was I felt bad for the guy, but yeah, he looked fantastic. So anyway, I can't say that either of the co-main or the main event are going to get to that level, but if it's even half of that, I'll be happy.
I'm the same way. I think that the co-main would be closer to like a fight of the year candidate as opposed to
it might steal the show. I agree. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that's the case. Well, listen, man, it's been great having you on. Finally, can't wait to see you. So when's the fight? When's your coming up?
February 20th. It's going to be in Vegas. Okay. So I'll be leaving February 15th, February 16th, flying out there. Okay. So I don't know what's going on with like fans and stuff.
Seems like they're inching towards more people. So
yeah, and then I heard my dad actually was telling me about it that he was looking at like fight cards for the rest of the year, and the UFC has something like posted online for like Orlando or something in Florida. Okay. So I don't know if they're going to be going back to Florida and having a crowd there, which would be super cool because I'd love to get on that card.
Right, which makes sense because if they're out of the Apex, then
yeah, like so we'll see. I mean, the Apex would be cool. I mean, I fought at the Apex; it's cool, but there's really no space for a crowd.
It's a studio, right?
You have like little spots. Yeah, it's. Think of the best comparison I can probably. So, have you ever been to the arena?
Yeah, 2,300.
Yeah, so like that. Okay. Yeah, 2,300 arena. Like that. It's just a little bit bigger. That's pretty much what the Apex.
Okay, yeah. So you're not having a massive crowd in there at all.
No, you're not, and you're probably having 1,000, 2,000 people, if that. Yeah. And then, but yeah, I mean, it would be super cool if they did like an Orlando card, and then I'd get on that and just hang out there.
Well, hopefully we can catch up with you either right before the fights or after, after your victory over Olenek. Awesome, brother. Thanks.